Here to Stay is a beautiful song that I absolutely love, but it's probably the craziest song I've been a part of. We are releasing it in 2024, but that song started in 2015, which is just wild. I remember when I was in high school, I had just graduated from high school, and we were taking a summer, like a bunch of just high school students, friends of mine. We were like leading worship for these prayer meetings, but then after the prayer meeting was over, we would stick around at the church campus for like another hour or two and just write songs together. And we were just doing that for weeks. And I remember we finished one and we jumped into this song that had this chorus that captured me right away. It was out of Psalm 139. And out of all the things that have changed about this song, that chorus was pretty much the same in 2015 as it is now. And I remember that opening line of, "You're not hiding, you're not far away, you're closer than I know." And that chorus just hit me, and it was just like a beautiful thing. I went off to college, kind of forgot about it. And then years later, I started leading worship for the youth here, and I remember we were trying to find songs that we had been writing to start introducing for the youth. This was even before Desperation Worship was a thing. It was just like, let's just write songs for our youth. And so I started digging through old voice memos, and I found this song, and the person who helped us write this, Selah, I sent it to Selah. I was like, "Do you remember this song? Like, this song is so good. We should finish this." And so years ago, we started like working on it, and we're like, I feel like we could use an additional voice like on this song to kind of give us some language for it. And your name came up. You were leading in the youth a bunch at that time. And so we brought you into it. And I remembered like just revising it, going over and over, just different sections. But what was so funny is that chorus and that theme, the heartbeat of that song never changed. After all the different revisions, we tried so many different verses, bridge, lyrics, and progressions, but that chorus always stayed the same because I think there was something about that theme. And so then we started doing it in the youth, Wednesday nights, prayer meetings, retreats. And I remember it always felt incomplete, like there was something like missing about the song. But I also remember that the theme and the heartbeat of that song was ministering to people. I remember we finished a prayer meeting, we tried that song out just to kind of see like what was the life pulse on this thing. And I remember a student coming up and her parents were going through I think a near divorce and going through it. And I remember you and I were talking to this student and we sent her the voice memo of the song. We're like, "Hey, like this is for you. It doesn't sound great, it's rough, it's raw, but like this song is for you in your season of life." And it was just moments like that all throughout. And then we're getting close to Desperation in 2023, and we still felt like the song was unfinished. And so I remember sending it to John and him just giving thoughts. And I remember like literally weeks before Desperation, all the other songs are like locked, loaded, they're good to go. But there's this one song that started in 2015, yet here we are in 2023, like still revising it. And I remember it was weeks before a conference, you and I were still talking about lyrics of like, what are we gonna do? Like, how are we gonna finish it? I think just like the most recent version we have is just what we have to do. And then we did it at Desperation, and we kind of recorded it to like put the seal, like this can no longer be tweaked, it can no longer be edited. But this song has just been such a funny journey to get to. But I know like it's more than just a song for us, like, but even for you, it's like impacted your life personally.
Totally. I remember whenever I sat in that writing session with you and Selah, and we were all working on it together, I remember saying like, I want to write a song for a person who finds themselves in a season where they're maybe having a hard time trusting God or being honest with God. And like, I want to give people permission to come to the Lord with their honesty. And so that was such a beautiful thing to be a part of. And I remember just feeling so excited about being a part of this song. And then, yeah, we had kind of got a solid recording of it set. And then it really changed the meaning of the song for me because I became the person that I was writing the song for. And I, in the summer of 21, like right when we had got like a solid recording done, I had lost my mom very suddenly and completely like just found myself in a place of like, Lord, how do I come to you? How, in the midst of this deep loss, am I supposed to be honest with you? Because, like, if I'm being honest, I don't want to. There's like a lot in me that's wrestling, that's having a really hard time. There's like all these questions coming up. But then it's just beautiful to see how the Lord used that season to almost give the fuel to that song, or to burden me for the message of that song. And it's one thing to sing, like, in my questioning, in my wrestling, teach my soul to trust in you, but it's like I've lived that. And as hard as it is, I'm so grateful that the Lord can use that to speak to other people who are walking through really difficult seasons and need language to come to the Lord in their honesty, whatever that looks like, but also be reminded of the truth that He's not going anywhere. Like, highest heights, deepest depths.
Yeah.
He's unchanging, He's unmoving.
Yeah, it's one of those songs. There's songs that you write that feel like this is fun, this is good, this is helpful. There's what I would call like a missional song that feels like from the moment you hear it, there is like a mission and there is a purpose to this song. This is one of those songs from that theme that is just so needed, I think, for students, for us as people who live in a culture where people come and go, seasons come and go, seasons change, and we need something, we need someone constant and steadfast. And I remember kind of my wife and I walking with you in the middle of that loss. And I remember when you texted me, you're like, this song is like, it means something completely different now. I remember getting that sense of like, oh, this is like a holy assignment given from the Lord. And it's not just for like the bottom line of like making an album or it being a song that people listen to. Now this is meeting people in the wrestle. This is meeting people in the darkest depths of their soul and giving them language like David, like the psalmist did. And it was so beautiful. It was all leading up to that moment in Desperation 23 when we sang it on the closing night. And there was something so sweet about just watching the room and watching the Holy Spirit minister to people. And I love that we still even have this on the recording. Like, you couldn't even make it through the whole way.
No.
And I loved
No.
it. But there was something so sweet as like, not just like someone leading worship with you and ministering with you, but it was like as a friend. My wife and I have known you for years now, and knowing what it was costing you to sing that song, knowing that there were years of history and dark moments in your room alone with Jesus, like where this song meant more than just lyrics. This was an anthem of your heart, and it was an anthem of hope. And the students who have no idea about that story are drinking from that well, and they're being ministered to by Jesus in that moment. And just watching that take place all over the room was so special.